Welcome back, you guys. It is great to be with you again, and it is an extra special occasion this time since it is officially autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere. And it goes without saying that autumn is an absolutely awesome time to be a photographer. So you're in for a treat this month. No matter what kind of photography you feel like practicing in fall, whether it's landscapes or wildlife shots, portraits or macro photography, or even still life compositions, there are all kinds of ways to bring the autumn theme into your images. And we're gonna take a little walk and think of some different ways to interpret the autumn season in our photography. So we hope that you can take a little bit of inspiration from this lesson. And without further ado, let's dig in and get inspired to do some autumn photography. This location is close to home for me, and that's kind of the point of this lesson. We're just trying to do something uncomplicated. We're trying to get out and do a local photo walk and see what we can find along the way. We can shoot some bigger scenes, we could look for some sort of medium subjects, and maybe even go in tight with a macro lens and try to capture some small characters that are representative of the autumn season. So yeah, I don't want the whole month to go by without getting out a couple times and seizing the opportunity. A good strong rain or a good strong wind could come along and knock all the leaves off the trees, and before I know it, I don't have the chance to shoot the beautiful autumn season anymore. So that's what we're doing today. We're keeping it light, we're keeping it casual, and we're keeping our eyes open for good subjects. Oh man, what a beautiful morning. We've got great light streaming in through the trees here, and I found a really cool little subject. I had hoped to find some mushrooms out here in the woods, so I'm really pleased. And I'm glad that I brought a couple of key things with me, so I thought I'd just explain a couple items of gear. First of all, I'm photographing today with my trusty 24 to 105 millimeter lens. I love this lens because it's just so simple and allows me to do different things, wide shots, zoomed in shots, and it also focuses very close, which is very handy in this situation right here. So in addition to that, I've got my beanbag, which is doing a great job at the moment of stabilizing my camera. And that's important when I'm focusing on a subject that is so close to the camera, because any little wiggling of the camera is gonna have a big impact on the sharpness of my photo. So I'm stabilizing with the beanbag, and I'm also setting my camera to the 2-second self timer so that I can trigger the shutter and then get my hands off the camera completely during the exposure. For settings, I'm keeping things pretty easy. I've got my ISO set to automatic, and the camera's on manual mode. That means I can dial in a shutter speed and an aperture that makes sense, and I'm just using the exposure compensation dial to increase or decrease the brightness of my picture. So that's about it for settings, and that's most of the gear that I'll be using today. Oh, this is so cool. I was hoping for exactly what I see in front of me here, and that is a great opportunity to practice shooting with backlight, because of course color is really the star of the show when we're shooting autumn foliage, and nothing helps that color punch harder than light streaming in from behind. So I was walking down the path and saw this one random leaf just sitting here with this beautiful backlight, and I've got light trickling in through the trees behind here. It looks really cool with my wide angle lens, and I'm just shooting with a couple different aperture settings, wide open, closed down a little bit, and I'm using a little bit of negative exposure compensation to keep my colors from getting washed out. So I'm loving this shot. I'm just gonna work it a little bit, and I might even try throwing my polarizer on to get just a little bit more color out of the scene. We'll see. Wow, what I'm really reminded of today as I look for subjects here is that the light plays such a critical role. And if you find a great leaf, but it's sitting in the shade, no interesting light on it, then it's just really difficult to appreciate the color. So I find myself shuffling leaves around and trying to place them in the more interesting light. Not so sure it's working perfectly for me here, but yeah, we'll keep looking. Maybe we'll take one of these nice leaves with us and see if we can place it in some nice light. Just found kind of a fun spot to play around with some backlit leaves, and I've really got kind of a fun selection of color here. There's green and yellow and gold, and in the distance a little bit of blue poking through from the sky. So I just changed to the 85mm lens. I opened up the aperture all the way, and I'm just kind of trying to isolate some of the texture on the leaves and also just play with my focus and do some sort of abstract shots through these backlit leaves. I'm finding that the odd groups, like groups of 3, groups of 5, are looking a little bit better in the composition than either single leaves or double leaves. Hey, do you need a little refresher on how the exposure triangle works? Then head over to our website and check out the resources page. It's loaded with PDFs that you can download completely free, including a fantastic and very visual summary of how the exposure triangle works. So head over to viewfindermastery.com and download that one today. So it's just walking across this bridge and noticed that there's some really beautiful backlight coming right in my direction here, which is also making some really pretty highlights on this creek. It's kind of fun because it's colorful, and I like the line leading in with the creek here. And I might just do a shot with my polarizing filter and see if I can get just a little bit more color out of those trees in the background. Okay, so I'm definitely liking the picture better with the polarizer. I think for these bigger scenes where we have a lot more light kind of bouncing around, the polarizer definitely helps bring out the vibrance in the backlit leaves. So it's an improvement, and now what I'm trying to improve on is the river, the water in the foreground here. I think I can make it blur and create a little bit of interest. So I didn't actually intend for this to become like a filter lesson, but here I am. I'm putting my second filter on in front of the lens. This is just a 2-stop square ND filter, pretty simple. And with that, hopefully I can reduce my exposure down to somewhere between 2 and 4 seconds. Let's see what happens. We are working in millimeters here. Millimeters. Now I'm gonna show you all of the pictures from our fun shoot here in just 1 second. But before I do, let me tell you about the fantastic courses that we run over at viewfindermastery.com. If you want to learn photography in a clear and structured way from professional photography educators, then come and check us out at viewfindermastery.com. We've got courses in all kinds of photography topics, from portraiture and sports photography to landscape and Lightroom, you name it. Of course, you don't have to take my word for it. We've got great customer ratings, so just check out our Google and Facebook ratings to hear what others are saying first, and then I would love to see you join us over at viewfindermastery.com. Okay, I hope you enjoy these pictures. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. Please give us a like and share this video with your photography friends. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Enjoy these pictures, and I will see you in the next video.